Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. You know that viral clip of Salma Hayek and Nicole Kidman at Paris Fashion Week? The one where it seems like there's some serious tension. Yeah, well, we're diving into that today.
Oh, yeah. That whole thing had me glued to my screen. I mean, trying to figure out what's really going on between these two huge stars. It's better than any reality show.
Totally.
Yeah.
So we've got eyewitness accounts from people who claim to have been right there, a TikTok video that's making the rounds, and of course the body language experts are weighing in. It seems like everyone has an opinion on this.
It's like a case study in how much we read into nonverbal cues, especially in a setting like Paris Fashion Week where image is everything.
Right. So just to set the scene, we're at the Balenciaga show.
Yeah.
The energy is electric. And at the end of the show, Salma Hayek, who, and this is important, is married to the CEO of Kering, which owns Balenciaga. She's trying to wrangle some people for a photo with Katy Perry.
And it's here that things get really interesting because, according to some reports, when Salma tries to include Nicole in the photo, Nicole seems to pull away. Now, the video itself doesn't have the clearest audio, but one witness claims that Nicole actually says, "Don't touch me."
Wow. Okay. So we don't know for sure if those words were actually spoken, but even without audio, the body language is pretty telling, right?
Absolutely. And that's where body language expert Judy James comes in. She actually compared this whole thing to a scene out of The Devil Wears Prada, hinting at all those unspoken rules and power dynamics that are at play in the fashion world.
Which makes total sense, right?
Right.
It's like this exclusive club with its own set of rules.
Exactly. And James breaks down the video into two key interactions. In the first one, you see Nicole with her arm around Salma, but it's more of a polite distance than a warm embrace.
Like we're in the same room, but we don't necessarily need a hug kind of vibe.
Yeah, exactly. And then in the second interaction, Salma gestures toward Nicole, almost like she's trying to guide her into the photo, and that's when Nicole pulls away.
It's like this subtle shift in power right in front of the cameras.
It's fascinating, isn't it? And it really makes you wonder what's going on behind those looks.
Okay, so we've got this potentially awkward photo op rumors of a tense exchange, and now body language experts are dissecting every move. Where do we even go from here?
I think it's crucial to consider the context. This isn't just two actresses at a fashion show. We're talking about Salma Hayek, who, through her marriage to Francois-Henri Pinault, has a significant connection to Kering, which, as we said, owns Balenciaga.
So it's like she's almost fashion royalty in this situation.
Exactly. And then you have Nicole Kidman, who's a longtime fan of Balenciaga and was recently announced as a brand ambassador. So you have these two powerful women, both with strong ties to the brand, but potentially operating within different levels of influence.
Which adds this whole other layer to their interaction, right? It's not just about a potentially awkward photo op. It's about how power dynamics play out in these seemingly glamorous settings.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder about all the unspoken rules in that world, the way people navigate power and influence.
It's like a secret code they all understand.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole thing so interesting. We're trying to decipher these little cues and gestures, trying to understand what they mean.
So is that what Judy James meant when she called this a Devil Wears Prada moment? Is there really this whole power structure in the fashion world?
I think there's definitely something to that. The fashion industry is like any other world. It has its own hierarchies. Designers have a lot of power, of course, but so do editors, buyers, even certain celebrities.
Right. And speaking of celebrities, we have Salma and Nicole, both incredibly powerful women. But in this situation, it seems like one might have more influence than the other.
And that brings up a really interesting point. What does it actually mean to be a brand ambassador these days?
Right. Is it just about wearing the clothes, or is there more to it?
It's definitely more nuanced than that. Brand ambassadors are like walking advertisements. They embody the brand, they shape its image, and they influence what people think about it. It's a huge responsibility, especially with social media being what it is.
So how does this all connect?
Well, if we look at this interaction through the lens of power dynamics, it gets really interesting. You have Salma, who's potentially seen as having a certain level of authority because of her connection to Kering. And then you have Nicole, who's a newly appointed ambassador.
So their interaction, whether it was intentional or not, could be seen as reflecting those different levels of influence.
Exactly. It's like we're watching a game of chess, but we can only see a few of the moves.
And to make things even more complicated, there's the aftermath. After the Balenciaga show, Salma posts this picture with Nicole on Instagram. They're both smiling, and it seems like she's trying to shut down any rumors of a feud.
It's like textbook damage control. But even in that photo, some people noticed an awkwardness in their body language.
So even after the fact, people are still analyzing every little thing.
It makes you wonder if these celebrities can ever really let their guard down.
It's like they're always on stage.
And what's really interesting is that neither Salma nor Nicole has said anything publicly about what happened. They've just let the speculation continue.
Which, as we know, can be deafening.
It really can. And it brings us to a really important point. We may never know the full story of what happened at that Balenciaga show, but this whole thing gives us a glimpse into a world that most of us will never experience firsthand, the world of high fashion.
It's a world where image is everything, where every gesture is scrutinized, and where there are all these unwritten rules that everyone seems to know. And it makes you realize these kinds of dynamics probably happen everywhere, not just in the fashion world.
Oh, absolutely. Think about any situation where appearances matter, where who, carries weight. You'll see these same kinds of things happening.
So true. It's this unspoken language we all understand, even if we don't always realize it.
Right. And that's where I think this whole Salma and Nicole thing, whatever actually happened between them, is a good reminder that things aren't always what they seem.
Yeah, there's always more to the story.
Exactly. Beneath a simple interaction, there could be all this history and context that we're not aware of.
It's like we need to learn how to read between the lines to pick up on those subtle cues.
It's true. When we start paying attention to those things, we become better at understanding people and situations.
So the next time we see one of these awkward celebrity encounters, we should try to look past the drama and see what we can learn from it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just about gossip. It's about understanding the dynamics at play.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to end on. It's been so fascinating unpacking this with you.
Likewise. Always a pleasure to dive into these topics.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time for another look beneath the surface.